more dollars per copy, and we wish you all the best, and there are smarter guys than us about growing and running big companies. Customer discovery begins at the minimum viable product. In theory, in the first week of your life as a startup or an incubation, you want to have something you can show that customers can touch and feel and react to in discussing what it is you're bringing to them to solve the problem. It's the fewest possible features you can include in a product. That product is very often made of styrofoam and duct tape and paper clips. If it's a complex industrial product, it might be 3 or 4 or 5 PowerPoint slides or some diagrams, something that can show the customer, this is how we're going to solve your problem. What do you think? And, well, would you like it better if it did this or it did that or whatever? And you give them something to react to, because what you want in those customer discovery conversations, it's not at all a sales call. And this is a very difficult thing for entrepreneurs to grapple with. Many entrepreneurs have to take a pill before they go to a customer discovery conversation, because you're there to listen, not to sell, and to get reaction to this sort of very, very rough prototype or schematic or whatever. And your answer to every question is not, well, you're telling me it's no good, but did you see that it does this and it does that and it's so great at this? Your answer to every question is, why? Why don't you think it's so good? What does the job better than our product? Where would you find out about product? You're in learning mode to understand how to reshape your business model and sometimes reshape your product to react to that customer feedback. There are some magnificent examples of minimum viable products. Google without ads is a terrific one. Diapers.com sold the end of last year to Amazon for most of $1 billion. When they began Diapers.com, 2 young entrepreneurs who had just cashed out of a small exit, did they go rent a warehouse and a forklift truck and a whole bunch of shipping and packing and so forth equipment? No. They were testing the customer promise. Any diaper you want, cheaper than you can buy it anywhere else in the world, at your door tomorrow. Any problems, return it, full money back, no questions asked, elegant customer service, because we know you need your diapers. What was their minimum viable product? A simple $10 website, making that offer and showing the list of all the simple, all the different configurations and pack outs of diapers. And every day at 5 o'clock, when they collected all the orders, one station wagon went to Costco, another one went to Babies R Us, another one went here, another one went there. They brought them back to the basement, packed them up, got them on the way before the last UPS truck left for the night, and within a few weeks it was obvious to them that they had found a real differentiating value proposition selling an ordinary commodity product that they absolutely couldn't change. They changed other elements of the business model and built a business that in, I think, 4 years was worth just about $1 billion. So customer discovery starts not with build, 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 but with listen, listen, listen. Take that set of hypotheses you've developed, test them. Don't expect every customer to be able to answer all 9 boxes. In a B2B environment, users will have one opinion, payers will have another, approvers will have another, and IT will always say, oh, we don't need to buy that, we can build it ourselves. And discovery will help you understand who your allies are and who your adversaries are in the B2B sales process, so you can build yourself a repeatable roadmap so that when you're ready to graduate to step 2, customer validation, instead of the founders alone going out and hearing these things for themselves and reacting to them with a deep commitment and a deep sense of dedication to success, others can hear about it as well. The other key element in customer development is the pivot. The pivot was actually named by Eric Ries, the lean startup guru, when he was a student in Steve's customer development class at University of California, Berkeley, which Eric was forced to attend because that was the condition Steve imposed on financing not Eric's, but another guy's new company called IMVU, which is one of the sort of poster children of the lean startup movement, where Eric was the CTO. The pivot is when you realize, oh my gosh, we have now heard from enough customers that one of these 9 boxes is causing our entire business model to break down. We have to shake that box, and we have to go back to the beginning and figure out what we need to change to make this business more of a money and scale machine. You have to do it quickly. You have to make it a positive, not a negative. When there's a pivot in a big corporation, it almost always means somebody, usually a vice president, often a vice president of sales, is fired. And what happens next is a paralysis in the company, and the coffee orders skyrocket because everybody's spending all their time at the coffee pot talking about, well, what did they do wrong? And who's the new person going to be? What does it mean for me? Should I sell hard or write my resume? And really, what you have is a fundamental change in a business model sort of initiated by a termination, because the new VP of sales is clearly not going to do exactly the same thing that got the old VP fired. And there are dozens and dozens of historic pivots that have dramatically changed the nature of startups and larger companies alike. The sort of fastest story I can tell with this time bomb ticking over here at my feet, Groupon, originally founded as a company called The Point, to gather large groups of people to either make charitable contributions or give time to activities in Chicago en masse. And they're having lunch at the pizza joint one day, and the founders and the team are realizing that this business is just going nowhere. They can't get enough people, they can't get enough referrals, they can't even get enough page views to sell advertising, and that was the heart of their business model. One of the founders wanders over to Joe behind the pizza counter, Joe being the owner, and says, hey, Joe, it's pretty quiet in here. Nobody's come in about 20 minutes, and it's lunchtime. How about we have this huge mailing list of young people in Chicago? What if next Thursday we run a buy one, get one free pizza special as long as 25 people show up? Would you try that, and would you pay us a couple of bucks a pizza if it worked? Joe said, yeah, selling 50 pizzas on a Thursday when all I sold was one to you guys? Absolutely. Pivot. Move the business to group buying, $12 billion at their peak IPO valuation on one simple change. In that case, the sort of value proposition customer segment marriage. And there are dozens and dozens of these sort of littering the landscape of highly successful IPOs. And the key thing about pivots is they have to happen quickly. You have to be able to walk into your development team and say, hey guys, you know that stuff you're working on for the last 3 days? Code on the floor, dump it. We're going left. Sorry, it's going to be a long weekend, but we have now heard convincing arguments from so many customers that we need this feature set instead of that feature set, and we're going to do it. And you hear a little bit of grumbling, but hopefully those team members are as motivated to see the company succeed as any other. And the sooner you can begin those customer conversations in the web and mobile space, you should be able to begin those customer conversations within a day or two of turning the lights on, because your initial customer discovery, finding out if anybody cares about the problem you're solving, you could do that with a blog or a simple one-page website that says, we're going out to solve the problem of overweight, puppies and kittens in the households of Europe. Is that of interest to you? And by the way, is it interesting enough to friends of yours that you would forward this to them? And you're not looking for revenue. You're not really looking for signups. You're looking for the virality of it. Have you stumbled on an idea that not only people think is interesting, but they have friends who they think will find it interesting and will appreciate them putting those friends on an email list? You're trying to pulse for excitement, for energy, for viral potential, because without it, the costs of customer acquisition and getting attention in today's incredibly cluttered environment are so great. And if you're going to spend, as most startup founders, something on the order of 80,000 hours working on your startup at the expense of your relationship with your friends, your family, and probably your dog, unless you're allowed to take him or her to work, don't you want to work on something really great? And don't you want to do everything you can to make it really great in the first 10,000 hours of your life in this startup, not hours 81,000 to 90,000? So you want to be getting that customer feedback and processing it and reacting to it as early as you possibly can. If you're not a startup, you can still do this. Declare a 4-day vacation. Okay, team, we want to take a giant step backwards and look at our business model and talk to our customers and our non-customers and the customers who've abandoned and see what we can learn about something. You don't have to say this to the staff. We want to see if there's anything we can do to further optimize our business, because we sort of know it's really not going great, or it's going okay, but we sure would like to see it going better. Spend a day or two face-to-face. Get the senior members of the team out there talking to customers, because they're the ones who can react the most honestly and openly to what customers say. Make it a celebration where assign the junior members to Google 5,000 links around your environment and to report back on the probably 500 they're going to find that are of interest, and that'll teach you something more about your business, your competitors, how to stand out from them. When was the last time anyone in this room actually looked beyond page 1 or 2 of Google search results? There's such a treasure trove of sort of industry and category information there. And make it a party. Have it end with a half-day Saturday kind of, let's put it all up on the wall and see what we've learned. And then, beer blast, barbecue, whatever, to make it a celebration of learning. And if you can get that far, you're ready to get into customer discovery. Now, for the accountants in the room, I will tell you this is not a job for accountants. It's not linear. Lots of the numbers don't correlate, and it doesn't move in the kind of, remarkable, detailed, step-by-step, predictable progress that accountants look for. This guy, Alfred P. Sloan, is one of the most famous accountants in America. He's thought of as the founder of General Motors. This guy, Billy Durant, was actually the founder of General Motors. He looks much more like an entrepreneur, and he's got the right hat for a founder. Billy Durant was the largest horse and buggy, or largest buggy manufacturer in Flint, Michigan, and he saw these clunky things traveling around Flint, Michigan, making all kinds of noise and smell and so forth, and he quietly went out and he sold off all his buggy companies. And he took all that money and he started buying up engine and transmission and what are now known as auto parts company, and he built a little company called General Motors. And wearing his silly hat and all, he took General Motors to $3.6 billion in revenue in today's dollars, when the board of directors said, we can't have this crazy, wacky entrepreneur running this $3.6 billion company, and the board fired him. So what did Billy do? He couldn't go out and buy a G4 because it hadn't been invented yet. So he went and he found a guy named Louis Chevrolet, and he bought controlling interest of Chevrolet's auto engine business, built that up so quickly, took it public very quickly, and used the money from the IPO to buy General Motors and to fire the board of directors who had fired him. He brought in a new investor, the DuPont family, that built most of the ammunition that helped America in the war, and started getting the company going again. And the new board of directors, led by the DuPonts, fired him again. Alfred DuPont died rich, famous. Sloan died rich. DuPont died rich and famous as well. Sloan Kettering Institute, Sloan School at MIT, his name in granite blocks all over the world. Billy Durant died penniless, managing a bowling alley in Flint, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the accountant. I give you the entrepreneur. We are here. Take the courage, take the time, get to know your customers, use what they tell you to spend your 80,000 hours working on a company that could be great, whether you're working for a big company or a 3-person startup. I'll be around the rest of the day for questions and so forth, but they're getting the hook. I am dépassé by 1 minute. Thank you very much. Have a great day.